Okay, markets closed Thursday evening. Pretty wild. So this is the SPY. Now, I haven't changed anything on my chart. I never change anything on my chart. I've just removed maybe those sort of price range percentages just to clear it up so it's more visible. Now, I'm not sure where to start, but essentially I thought the markets would top out around here, 415 on the SPY-ish. It kept going. So I'd sold quite a bit here. I sold more here. And I was pretty adamant that up here, really, if you look at the great trend line going down, this really was. Plus, it was resistance here. So this was major resistance for me. I mean, I was really surprised it got up here like a lot of people. So I was very happy with the drop. And I really was convinced it would continue. And to be honest, it's been pretty accurate. I mean, perfectly accurate, if I can say so myself. And we've come all the way down to this ascending line. And I'm quite sure, and I've said this in prior videos, if we get here, which I thought we would this week, I thought we would bounce. Now, today, during the market hours, when it got here, I thought, okay, this is sort of bounce time. And I said that I would buy GDX, GDXJ, some miners, if we got here. And to be honest, I did. I didn't go as heavy as I thought I might, because as usual, you get a bit fearful when it goes down. I mean, right now the candle looks pretty nice for a bounce, but at the time when it's at its low down here, it's a nice red candle. So you're thinking it could go lower. So why buy now? But I bought, I'll go into that in more detail, but the point is I bought with the SPY in this sort of circle, ascending support zone. So if we look at the equivalent on the NASDAQ, and I said this would happen because yesterday, if we consider yesterday's red candle where it closed the low of day on the ascending line, I did think, okay, if the SPY is going to go down 1 or 2%, the NASDAQ will also have to go down. And I said it would hit about this area. So at the time where the SPY was at its low on the ascending line, here, let's call it 388, 389. The NASDAQ was pretty much right on the low of this candle, which I also thought might happen. So everything coincided perfectly. When you have a plan, you stick to it. I mean, you have to be ready to change the plan if the thesis is wrong, but this is hardly any change. So yeah, I bought when the SPY was at its ascending, when the NASDAQ was around here. I didn't really pay attention to the Dow, but to be honest, I knew that the Dow would also hit this ascending zone. I forgot the circle, but no great surprise here. This is exactly like the SPY if you think about it. Very identical chart. And the Russell, pretty similar. I did think it would get down here. So really, I mean, I did call this really quite perfectly, and I'm happy that there were videos to prove it. And not just yesterday, but quite a few days in a row now. So, I mean, who cares about that? I can always get it wrong, and you can be right, you can be wrong. It's about the plan you have in place, whether you're right or wrong. I mean, I also have a certain plan if it keeps going down. In fact, that's kind of my wish, that it keeps going down. It would mean I lose money because I'm not short. I'm light in my position. It's a core holdings that I have that I intend to hold for the long term. I think gold, miners, commodities go up, and that's what my portfolio is mostly made of. So, and I'll go over that in a different video. So the point is, today we went all the way down, hit the ascending support zone, and I bought. So I was watching these major indices to time my entrance to add more miners. There is, before I move to the dollar and the interest rates, as I usually do, I do want to show the DAX, which is the German market. But as the DAX goes, the other European markets, the CAC, you got the French. But I just want to pay attention to the DAX, because this also hit ascending, well, closed at ascending support, but the DAX is, it closes in the US market sort of, well, the US market opens whilst the DAX is open, but the point is they sort of push and pull each other around. But Europe is pretty screwed. Fundamentally, the debt, the interest rates are nowhere near as high as the US. The debt is horrible. It's a fragmented continent. The energy market is so bad over there, and we haven't even seen autumn, let alone winter. Um, the war, just everything is wrong with Europe. I mean, I live in Europe, and inflation is horrible. And that's the official inflation numbers. Yeah. And then technically you've got the DAX here. Now, it looks like we're going to go for a triple flush. And this is the daily chart, of course. Um, I should really maybe clean this up a bit. Let's go to the weekly, but this looks, and it's hardly come down that much if you think about it, from the peak all the way down to where we are. We're just in bear market territory. Anyway, if we take out 12,400-ish, this zone here, I mean, we're making new lows straight away. This is the same as the SPY hitting, 360, let's say, and then going lower. And I think that will happen actually. And I think the DAX, tomorrow, it could close at the low 12,400, maybe even below. And to me, that will sort of guarantee that all markets go lower, because the DAX will then have to sort of go lower, test the next support zone, which to me is, and I haven't really looked at this before, but 11,500. Pretty simple. Not because of this ascending line, mainly because of these candles here. So 11,500, that would mean another drop of whatever it is. Yeah, 6%. I could do that easily in 1 week. So I think the DAX will go lower. I thought that for a while. I haven't really gone over the DAX, but when I saw the last few candles, and this is the weekly, but and also it's been hitting this downtrend line perfectly. And lower highs, I wouldn't say lower lows, but it's going to be a triple flush. So yeah, keep an eye on the DAX, especially tomorrow. And the thing is, although the DAX to me is going to flush, because of where the SPY and the US markets are, I think we're going to bounce. So we'll probably have a sort of sideways DAX tomorrow, sort of just trying to reverse here, maybe even green, but that's not going to change the fact that next week it will flush. So I think this bounce in the US markets will be not that much. I mean, it'll be pretty muted. Maybe, okay, we're here now. We're just in general from here to, let's say, there, 3-4%. Nothing too impressive. And then down we go to 370s, right? Low 370s for the SPY and the equivalent in the other markets. So yeah, just be mindful of the European markets tomorrow and early next week. So I'm looking for a small bounce. Now, with that said, the dollar did break out as I thought. Closed also at new high. This is the daily. Just look at this. I have to move to the weekly, but we look at this trend line here, which is not perfectly drawn, but it doesn't have to be for a weekly. You can see we're closing at the absolute peak of resistance. So, okay, tomorrow we might not go too much higher, but if we close above 110, that's it for me. It's green light to keep going higher. But I say that, and I look at the dollar, it's just pretty extended. I mean, if it came down, even if it came down to 103, it's still in a very bullish pattern. So, but the point is, the dollar is doing what it usually does in periods of fear and markets going down. That's just catching a nice bid and staying strong, and that's obviously putting friction on gold and silver, which I will move to soon. I just want to cover interest rates. Just go to the daily interest rates, very similar to the dollar, just continuing higher very, very slowly. Nothing much to speak about today. But it's not exactly flushing down, so just continuing higher very, very slowly. 30-year. So interest rates just slowly going higher. creeping higher, but you know, it's sort of a stealthy move. You don't really pay attention too much, but if you think about it, you've got the 10-year back at 3.3%, you know, and it just takes a small move higher in 1 week. This is easily accomplished, and we're back at highs, and then I mean, if you have interest rates all the way up here, the 10-year up here, you're pretty much going to have markets just going to new lows. So dollar up, interest rates still going up, markets still going down. I do think we'll have a bit of a bounce now because of where we are. But I mean, the European markets, for me, guaranteeing that we're going to test new lows in the US markets after a small bounce. So a small bounce here, flush. And then if we go down here, yeah, I don't think we go down here just to observe the view. I think we're going down there to really test and flush. I'm not sure how much of a bounce we get down here. So little bounce down here, little bounce, and then everyone gets scared again. Let's see next week. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Let's go over gold and silver now. Gold, I thought would test its lows. To be honest, it didn't go all the way down to 1670, 1680. It went to around 1690, maybe just below. So technically in the 1680s. Look at the 3-minute chart, which I really like, 1688. And then it was a pretty nice bounce, and we've sort of held so far. I think we will actually grind a little higher tomorrow because the markets go up. I think everyone will have a bit of a bounce, all of the risk on. Not that I see gold and silver is very risky, but they take part in the risk on crowd. So I think we'll move a little higher. It's a shame because it's actually technically the next day. I live in Europe, but so you can't see the percentage moves. But gold was down, I think, about 1% today. Silver was down a lot more. Silver tested 1750. And if we look at 1750, I was wondering how low silver would go today. I thought maybe even 17. I didn't think it would go to 17, but I knew that would be support. But we lost 18. We closed below 18. I think we'll bounce tomorrow. You know, we'll probably test prior support, so it might go above 18 tomorrow on a bounce. I could be wrong. It could go, you know, down again, but I do think we'll have a bounce generally in gold and silver and the market. So, which is why I bought, looking for a quick flip, sort of 5% move in the miners. So yeah, gold and silver went down, silver more than gold, but again, I think we've hit a bit of support in midair. So let's see what happens. Let's look at the GDX and the GDXJ. I mean, this is more interesting than gold and silver. GDX really, and you can see the support, we spoke about it. I don't even know if I drew a trend line here or if that's just no, that's where it closed. Well, I think it closed on support. Not the best close. It didn't really bounce much before the close, so it almost closed at low of day for the GDX, but I think we're at support and I think we bounce. I think we'll bounce with the markets and the metals, just a little bit, maybe even previous support, 5%, you know, sort of fill this gap and maybe go a little higher, and we'll fail around 24.5, let's say 24.4. I'd be selling there. So I'm looking for a very small bounce, but they're the sort of ones where you can capture a nice 6%. So I'd be short-term bullish and then medium long-term. Well, no, I'm long-term very bullish, but short-term, let's say short-term bullish, medium-term bearish. If the market's going to go down, GDX and GDXJ will go down with them. Yeah, you know what I mean. So small bounce, 4-5% GDXJ, which is now starting to follow GDX a lot closer in its chart. I think GDX is still sort of relatively weaker, but GDXJ is hurrying up. Also very similar, maybe 1 or 2% off its little support zone here. But again, if it bounces like the GDX, so very similar. And I think that'll bounce. Look at that, fill the gap, maybe just go to about here, 30. That's a nice psychological number. So I'd be selling GDXJ just under 30. I like to sell, for example, 29.89. So once I see GDXJ around 29.89, even though I'm not trading the ETF, I will sell the miners that I want to sell. So that's what I see coming. I mean, it could even test, everything could go a little lower tomorrow during the regular hours and then bounce and then sort of produce a reversal candle. So I'm looking for several days maximum bounce to around there. The individual miners. Now, I'm not sure if I don't want to go too much into how much I actually own. I don't want to go into the numbers, but Newmont is my heaviest holding, and I sort of accidentally bought in way too early. Was it 52 or 50? No, it can't be 58 flush. I think it was around 52. I thought, this is great. And then the earnings came out. I mean, I don't usually get into these sort of, it was just silly from my part. I should have known earnings were coming out. I just sort of bought it. And then I started to buy during I mean, not during the earnings, but during the flush of earnings. And sort of, I was trading my way around this to sort of make my average lower. But I basically, in short, have double in Newmont than I do in my other senior mines. In fact, maybe 2.5 times the amount. It's way too overweight. I don't mind Newmont's one of the best seniors. But the point is, I'm sort of benefiting now because what I have in Newmont, I otherwise would have added in other senior mines like Yamana or Sand. And Newmont's actually been pretty resilient on the way down. I mean, look at today, it was down 1%, which is a nothing day. That's being down 1% is like being up 2%, it's nothing. Whereas the other sort of senior stocks that I would typically be in, they've gone down, and I'm not just talking about today, but the last couple of days, they've been down more. So I kind of got a bit lucky, or I've already suffered this drop a little bit. So I'm pretty happy being in Newmont at the moment. It's pretty defensive. So I don't mind being in strong seniors on the way down. And then if I can catch the reversal, being in these sort of more aggressive, what I call juniors, silver juniors. And they've also been pretty strong, actually, the EXK, CDEs, FSMs. But when I think that the markets really are done turning, not only am I going to add more of my sidelines into these more aggressive miners, but I might even, if I need the liquidity, sell Newmont and buy EXK. I mean, when everything goes up, when you have one of those 10% GDX days, you probably get Newmont up 8%, Fortuna up 22, and you'd prefer having your money in Fortuna. So that's also one of the plans I have, depending on how much, like what I call ammunition, I have on the sidelines. I'll go over some risk management that I perform in a different video. But that's one of the tricks. Let's call it a trick. If you need money for an aggressive play, you sell a more slower defensive senior mine and buy a more junior one. It's not really a trick, it's kind of obvious, but it works very well. So Newmont, a bit like GDX, this kind of is a telltale sign of what's to come. I think we'll have a nice bounce. What am I looking for? 6%-ish, 5-6%. Perfect. Let's say 43. It's not the tidiest chart right here, but I'm looking for a little bounce to about 43 on Newmont. Agnico, this downtrend line no longer applies, so I'll delete that. Yeah, I mean, this hasn't tested its lows yet, so it's been pretty strong, Agnico Eagle. This could easily get to around, that's a bit too much. Let's see, 43 is. Barrick Gold, something I bought yesterday for the first time, something I wanted to own for a while. This could easily bounce, get its gap. Probably go higher, actually, Barrick. Wheaton. I'm not going to do the same percentage move, but 31.5. Pan America, which has come down a lot. I'd expect it to go test 16, 17. around there. Mag silver, probably 12.3-ish. Didn't go to new lows yet. Gold fields, which I bought yesterday, I should have bought today. Just got a bit greedy. Right on support, perfect. This is actually where I wanted to buy it. I keep an Excel spreadsheet and I wrote down 7.8 or something. This will probably test 8.5 if we bounce. And I could get this completely wrong. It could actually keep going lower, which I would like. But again, it's not the nicest thing to see all your stocks red because I own these, obviously. I do wish I actually went short. It's one thing calling the market, it's another thing selling all your positions and going short. But anyway, I'll cover that in risk management. First Majestic, that has not seen new lows. That's pretty bullish sign. I'm not sure where this might go actually, 7.5. Fortuna, these really are now, I mean, the Fortunas, the EXKs, CDs, they now are at new lows, which is what you'd expect. So this might test 2.5. EXK, yeah, $3 at least, maybe a bit higher. Probably needs a bigger circle. CDE, this one I really like. I'm a bit wary of it. It's not the greatest stock sort of company balance sheet wise, but it can really move. This will probably test its downtrend line. This can do 10% really easily. Grand Columbia, I added to today. What did I add to? I bought a little bit of EXK, CDE, FSM, Grand Columbia, and I also added Yamana because that's going to merge with Goldfields, and I think you're getting a better deal buying Yamana. And I think I bought one other, I forgot, but they're very light ads, so it's like $1,000 in each max. And in fact, these were just sort of $500, really small amounts. For my portfolio, they're small amounts anyway. This one I can see testing 2.6-ish. These are very strange juniors, so I'm not gonna add the circles here. I didn't. Yeah, Fortitude. I added this at 601, and then I bought more at 603. This is a great one, but very strange stock. I don't usually buy these types of looking charts, but it's 8% dividend. And I used to own Goro, and I got this from a spin-off, and I really do like this stock. So, and the more you follow stock, the more you get an understanding of what the movements you can expect. This will probably go all the way back up to high sixes actually on a bounce, which is not the biggest percentage move. 10% might be asking a bit too much, but I don't really care. This one is a hold, a bit like you would hold Newmont or Barrick, or I can count on this one here. Right, in the silver, the last of the gold stocks. I wanted to add this, but I actually have enough in it, so I don't want to go too crazy, because if it goes a little lower, it's at new all-time low. It's at new all-time lows, and I wouldn't know how to trade that as well. I don't have as much data, and this is, that's way too much of a move up. Let's see, probably around here, but I wouldn't even sell that, so it doesn't matter. So I expect a bounce, 5%-ish bounce, GDX, GDXJ. Some stocks will move a bit more because of their individual chart pattern, or because of how strong that particular stock is. So I put the circles of where I expect roughly each stock to go. Wheaton here, but I probably won't sell Wheaton. That's another senior royalty, so not the kind of stock I would flip. But I didn't add to either. So yeah, I added to some. I expect a 5% move. I'll trim them if they get to that sort of 5% range, if I think the general markets have done their bounce. That's all I will say for now. I won't go into my alternative stocks. I'll cover maybe Bitcoin in a different video. which has been a bit more resilient than the general markets. I know that people who follow gold, silver also follow Bitcoin a bit. You can see the downtrend line, it's sort of holding. I thought it would have touched 19,000 by now, and it hasn't. And I do think the market's going to bounce. So I do see Bitcoin going back to, 21 point, let's say 21.8, 21,800-ish, and then coming all the way back down like everything else. So yeah, that's what I see happening so far, being pretty accurate. Let's see if there's a bounce. And then next week, let's see if following that bounce, we go lower. But even if there's a bounce, we go lower. If there's no bounce, we definitely go lower. Okay, that's it. Hope you enjoy. Subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. Thank you. Good luck.